Greetings, Cyclopeans. Welcome to Sci-Clops Podcast 25, brought to you by H.P. Lovecraft's The Doom That Came to Sarnath. And of course, I'm always going to ask you to read H.P. Lovecraft. If you haven't by now, you really should, because it's the greatest horror ever written, and all your major horror writers have read it at one point or another, and even written on the H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu mythos. So get to work. It's all free online. We'll have a link for you right below this podcast. You can click on it and read all these exciting stories about things with tentacles that live deep under the sea or in realms that we can't explore. In the meantime, my name is Dan.
And I'm Tom.
And Tom is going to start you right off with comic books.
Today is going to be Marvel Day because none of the stuff I'm reading for DC came out this week. So it's going to be 4 Marvel ones today. I have Infamous Iron Man, Old Man Logan, and the new Inhumans and X-Men series kick off. So we'll start off with Infamous Iron Man. When they announced Dr. Doom was taking over as Iron Man following what happened to Tony Stark in Civil War II, I was not really skeptical, more like confused. It never really seemed like Iron Man and Dr. Doom had that much of a link. They'd fought a couple times before, in the Avengers. But I gotta say, since this series kicked off, it's really been a fun, kind of weird twist on the Iron Man take, and seeing Dr. Doom try to push past his life as a supervillain and become a hero is always fun. He recently learned, apparently, that his mother is alive, and has been alive, actually, for years. And she has avoided association with him because, as she put it, she was ashamed of him. And
I wonder why.
Yeah, it's not like he tried to conquer the world 18,000 times. So we have that. That's what Doom's currently processing as he's still trying to hunt down his old villainous associations.
So he's got mommy issues.
He's got really bad mommy issues. And his mom's actually just as powerful as he is, maybe even more so. And it's fun because it brought in... Because the Fantastic Four don't have a comic right now. But Johnny Storm was over in Inhumans for a while. And Ben Grimm, as the Thing, is kind of guest starring in this one, hunting Victor Von Doom down for his past crimes. So it's a fun nod to Doom's past with the Fantastic Four and stuff like that, while still pushing forward with this new storyline that his mother is alive and working with, apparently, another version of Reed Richards from an alternate universe. Cool. The Maker from the Ultimate Marvel Universe, who was actually Reed Richards became a villain. So it's a fun blend of Doom's history as a sorcerer with Iron Man's armor and a really cool lookout, and it's been another pleasant surprise. Bendis has kept Iron Man going in one way or another now that Tony Stark's out of the picture, but definitely worth checking out. And now we move on to Old Man Logan.
Old Man Logan. Right off that film too.
Yeah. Ever since they killed off Wolverine in 2014, I've been pretty depressed, but they've actually kept Wolverine's spirit going with X-23 has her own comic. Now Old Man Logan's got his own comic, so it's definitely, you can get your Wolverine fix. And a big part of the end of the original Old Man Logan comic, so minor spoiler if you haven't read it here, is Wolverine takes Bruce Banner's grandson and decides he's going to raise him to be a hero like his grandfather was, and try to fix the wastelands. And then they did the whole Secret Wars thing, and Wolverine gets sucked into the mainstream Marvel Universe, and I thought they were just that was going to be a loose thread. But now Wolverine's decided he's going to go back, get the baby, and then come back to the mainstream Marvel Universe and fulfill his promise, raise the baby to be a hero. So he goes to every mystical, magical guy he can think of to try to help him get back to his universe, and they all shoot him down. Messing with time travel and universes is never going to end well. So Wolverine has to resort to going to villains who have that power as well. And Wolverine makes a deal, and surprise, surprise, the villain decides to alter the terms of the agreement a little bit. So it looks like Wolverine...
Why didn't you just go to Barry Allen?
Yeah,
Flash,
right?
He messes with the timeline enough.
Barry Allen screws the timeline so much, he might actually be able to punch his way into the Marvel Universe.
So many timelines going right now. Which one do you want to choose from?
So he said he'd send Wolverine into the past, but he never said which part of his past. So he shot Wolverine right back into 1800s, right in the middle, right after his powers have manifested, and he's become Wolverine, really. So this is interesting. I'm wondering if they're going to do with it. He's going to be skipping through various time periods in his life until he eventually hits the wastelands. Wow. But it's a fun way to keep it fresh and not just have Wolverine wandering around, noticing how his universe isn't the same as this one. So definitely another fun issue. And now we get into the 2 new series, well, not really new series, but new spins on the old series of Inhumans and X-Men. Both of them were called Inhumans and X-Men Prime. We'll start with X-Men Prime, seeing as we're already talking about Wolverine. This is really kind of, these two issues were ways to set the tone for new storylines going forward with both franchises. And X-Men Prime, the big chunk of it is Kitty Pryde comes back from outer space after her whole deal with Peter Quill and the Guardians went down. And she's missed like the whole Inhumans versus X-Men fight. She's, really late to the party on this. Mm-hmm. And Storm comes to her and says she can't lead the X-Men anymore. She got them into a war with the Inhumans. People died on both sides. And Storm says she's done. And Kitty Pryde eventually kind of decides that the X-Men need a leader. And she's been around for years and years and years, and she decides that she's going to help run the new X-Haven school. Okay. Other parts of this, there's multiple stories in this one, and the time-displaced team of X-Men from like the 60s decide that they're going to go off and do their own thing and kind of be a separate team from the rest of the main X-Men group. And it's the other interesting thing is they even set up the Weapon X storyline where Lady Deathstrike gets kidnapped by this group of paramilitary guys, and they have like a checklist of mutants they're looking for, and it's Lady Deathstrike's one, Sabretooth is another, Old Man Logan, Warpath, and I forget who the fifth one was. But so they're setting up the Weapon X spin-off comic too. So this was a fun kind of a look back at the X-Men's history, and while also getting everything ready for when the next, because X-Men is launching like a jillion titles in the next couple of weeks. It's X-Men Gold, X-Men Blue, Iceman, Jean Grey, Cable, Weapon X. So, the running gag was Marvel was trying to kill them all off, and now it looks like they're popping up all over the place again.
Poor nerds are going to have to work overtime for afford all these new comics.
And so now that brings us to the other side of the Inhumans versus X-Men war with Inhumans Prime. And this is picking up right up after Medusa decides to destroy the second Terrigian cloud. So Inhumans, in theory, now will be no different from regular people. The Terrigian is what activates their powers, so this group of Inhumans that are currently active is going to be the last batch ever. But there's apparently an Inhuman out in space from an alternate universe who says that there's another way to create Terrigian that they don't realize. So, in theory, the Inhuman population could continue on as they always have. We also see the fallout of Maximus the Mad being captured by his brother Black Bolt again. And it was a weird kind of moment where in the original Sin storyline, Nick Fury whispered to Thor something, we didn't know what, and Thor dropped the hammer and he couldn't pick it up. And we almost had a similar moment here where Maximus whispers something to Black Bolt, and it clearly bothers Black Bolt a great deal. So whatever that was is going to be presumably explored in the new series moving forward. Black Bolt will also have his own solo series going forward as well, in addition to the next Inhuman series. But again, this was just another thing to kind of establish a new status quo within the Inhuman world and push forward. It was not really action-heavy either issue, but that really wasn't the point. The point was this was the exposition to get out of the way so they could set everything up. So when they start the new series, they don't have to go through the clunky, this is what happened here, remember this, and all that. But I'm looking forward to both new franchises. I thought Marvel had a really solid week for issues this week, but hopefully DC will put everything back on the shelves next week. That's all I got for comic reviews.
Can I throw in a comic really quick? I got a Heart of Earth. It's an online comic I'm reading. It's a fantasy, and it's written by a Russian. I'm not sure if it's a male or female writer. All I got is Yan 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 or Yon Yon Yon. Not sure what who this is. And I found it online. It's kind of fun, and it's kind of in my tradition of online comics. It's, I read Star Power and what's the other one I'm reading? A bunch of online stuff I'm looking at, and I like them because they get updated every now and then. And of course, there's tons. Some of them have been around for a while. This one too, it's got a lot of material, so there's a lot to read. And it's just about a couple factions of fantasy comics. Looks like there's humans, kind of like a humans versus elves. In this one, the elves are kind of evil, or maybe they're not, because we're trying to figure out whether they were or not. There's a magic item that's been found in the kingdom of the humans.
Haven't we learned elves and humans need to cooperate, or we'll never destroy the ring?
They never get along. In this case, they're not getting along again. And looks like a young mutant human. It looks like this might actually even be a post-apocalypse type comic, like where it's gone post-apocalypse back into fantasy. So still reading it in my way into it. And it's pretty cool. Really good illustration. I will have a link to it online if you like a fantasy with some interesting illustration. The only drawback is the English in it is not that great. There's spots where the translation's a little. The writer's doing his or her best, but occasionally you gotta like look at what they're saying and say, okay, what's being said here, and you gotta kind of reread it a little bit. So, and that's how I knew. Just looking at it, I knew that this has got to be Russian or something. And then sure enough, it was. I looked up a little bit, but I can't find too much info on it. So if anybody knows out there, feel free to put in the comments who Yan 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 is. And I like the comic so far. I'm reading it. And one more comic, really quick. We've covered the actress Jamie Bernadette here in the past, and she was the actress of the day a while back, and she's had some movies. One of them was I Spit on Your Grave. I don't know if you've heard of that one. And that was, I've heard of that from back, and she's also had a few others that were really into bloody, really pretty good horror stuff. A lot of fun, if you're a horror fan, you've probably run across some of her movies, and I've put some information up on her. She's got a new comic coming out that she's related to. In other words, she's going to be in the comic. And so she's actually one of the characters in the comic, and the comic is Kindred Homecomings, and it's also
it's not ominous at all.
We feature some of it. It's not all online. It's going to be sold, but the company has put some of the comic up online, so you can see some of the pictures, and I will show. We're actually looking at it right here.
Oh, it's weird.
This is
it's
some
like,
of the
almost like video game graphic.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit like video game graphics, but it's a really interesting story. It just in a quick nutshell, her and the sheriff of the town. And by the way, the sheriff of the town let me back up just a tiny bit. I don't want to confuse the poor readers. Jamie Bernadette's character inherits her estranged grandmother's coastal property in the sleepy area of Solano County, and she heads up to take care of this house and find out what's going on with it. And she comes in and finds out it's a real mess. And not only that, but she's staying there for a few nights. There's strange noises coming from the walls. And she thinks it's rats. And it's never rats. When you hear noises from the walls, just take whatever. If you got a cigarette hanging out of your mouth, just flick it in and walk out and let the place burn behind you, because that's the end of it. But she gets the local sheriff, and the local sheriff is played by the Unwritable Rant podcast, Juliet Miranda, and she does the Unwritable Rant. So Jane and I'm trying to get the names here right. Juliet is Sheriff Melinda Clare, and Jamie Bernadette is Jane Borchardt. So don't worry, there's not going to be a quiz on this. But in these pages that they show you, they're heading down to the basement to find out what's going on. She brings the sheriff in. The sheriff's looking around. They find a live power line, and they know there's power running from somewhere, but they can't figure out why, because this house is supposed to be off the grid. So of course they follow the line down, a hotline, a warm cable or whatever it is, and they find a strange room with a lot of really strange stuff in it, and it's very Lovecraftian at this point. It's kind of cool. It looks like somebody's been doing some strange experiments, and things are not. They're not. The power's not out. The power's quite on, and there's some really nasty looking stuff in the basement.
Why do people keep going into scary houses?
I don't know. So, and the house is huge. It's like this hallway. It must go on for like a quarter mile. Like, you're looking at this thing. It's kind of cool.
It's always a mansion.
So it's always a mansion. It's never like
Resident Evil.
Never like a mobile home or anything that they're living in. Studio apartment or a kitchenette. Like it's a hot pad.
Too easy to escape from.
It's never on the porch. It's always down in the basement. So anyway, it's cool. It's this comic Kindred Kindred Homecomings, and we'll have some of the images online. And the company that put it out, Snug Comics, is the one who put it out. So it's pretty cool. Check that out. And that's my 2 comics for today. What else have you got?
I got my weekly DC TV of Arrow, Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow.
Okay.
Arrow has been really ratcheting it up here, and we come into the home stretch of the big Prometheus reveal that it really is Adrian Chase this whole time. Him kidnapping Oliver and torturing him for however long. And afterwards, you knew Oliver was going to have to do something to this guy. He's not just going to take that line down. And we got a nice callback to Oliver going back to his Russian mobster ties in the Bratva and basically calling in a hit squad to kill Adrian Chase. And it's That was pretty fun. We got to see Anatoly come back into the main storyline again, and not just the flashbacks. But it really shows you how much Oliver just wants this over with. He wants Prometheus dead and in the ground. And it was great. You're like, well, it's how far is he willing to go? He's working with the mob. He's letting them run all over Star City, shooting AK-47s at people. And
always AK-47.
Yeah, and so Diggle and the rest of the team kind of have to try to get Oliver back into, being a hero again, and not just somebody who's going to do whatever it takes to get his, the mission accomplished. This is a pretty action-heavy week between the flashbacks and the main storyline of the Bratva running around town and the team trying to still be heroes for Star City in Oliver's absence. And it really, it's amazing that they've been able to kind of course correct here. I think they realized after that 4th season that they needed to get Arrow back to what made it work in those first 2 seasons. And that wasn't big, magical enemies and, ridiculous things. It was more of a grounded, more relatable nature. And they did. They course corrected, and now things have really gotten interesting because Prometheus has been outed as Adrian Chase.
Cool.
The general public knows he is Prometheus, so he's on the run, which I think is going to make him even more dangerous because now he's got nothing to lose. He doesn't have to maintain the facade of being Adrian Chase. Now he can just be Prometheus full time. And the only annoying thing here is Talia al Ghul showed up in the present storyline for that one episode, and then she just disappeared.
Yeah, talk about like dangling that out for everybody, getting them all upset.
Yeah,
it's a big name.
Yeah. And she shows up for one episode, and you're like, she's going to be torturing Oliver with Chase, and then no, she just...
You're like, we just kind of threw her in for fun. And
2 episodes have gone by since that, and nothing happened. Huh. So, I don't know, we'll see what they do with that, but that was that. And on to poor Barry Allen, messing with
changing
timelines. We got another time-traveling villain today.
Don't we?
But this time it was the villain Abracadabra. And this was a much more kind of a classic, like, Season 1 Flash episode where, it wasn't all melodrama all the time. And Abracadabra was just a fun villain. He was, basically an evil magician from the future.
Yep.
His powers weren't actually magical. It was nanotechnology, but I forget what the writer's name is. He says any sufficiently advanced technology appears as magic. And that was generally what he does. He's from the 64th century, and apparently
64th.
He's been enemies with Flash for years, but now they're just running into each other here because of, time travel and all that. So here we had, really, the whole thing was Abracadabra's after technology for something. He's attacking various corporations, Mercury Labs, Cord Industries. He even goes after Star Labs at one point. But this episode really was kind of, I think, hindered a little bit by the fact that it almost became not about Abracadabra and more about the fact that he's from the future, so he knows who Savitar is.
Okay.
So it really became more about Barry trying to catch this guy and, get the info out of him instead of Barry just dealing with Abracadabra himself. And it also begs another question of where is Savitar?
Yeah.
What is he doing? He smacked Barry around like a rag doll the first time they fought. Barry didn't even land a punch.
Yeah.
And he's just off doing what?
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of moved him out of the way.
Yeah. With Zoom, I mean, they at least explained away why Zoom wasn't just beating Barry down all the time. He needed something from Barry. He needed to steal his speed. With Savitar, he doesn't need anything from Barry.
Savitar just kind of come in, beat the snot out of him, and then take off.
Take off.
Okay, why are you beating him up all the time? You just like
kill him.
The superhero schoolyard bully.
Yeah, classic supervillain syndrome. You have the power to kill the hero, but you're going to toy with him, and then when he beats you, you're going to go, How? How did you beat me?
I didn't see that coming.
But, no, it was a good episode. It was fun. And then the big thing was, happened actually to Caitlin. Caitlin's been wearing that necklace that dampens her powers to keep them in check this whole time. But during a fight with Abracadabra, she gets critically injured. And it looks like initially she's going to be okay, but then she starts to crash. And the only way to save her is to take the necklace off because her metahuman powers kick in and a slight healing factor and all that. And so the end of the episode is she becomes Killer Frost and blows everybody away and then walks out of the lab. And like I said, this season's been much better about giving Caitlin things to do and then just stand in the background and offer the odd tidbit of advice every
Most
now and again.
trashed lab ever.
Yeah, that lab just gets blown up on a weekly basis. It's like the Enterprise in Star Trek. It just gets like destroyed
full-time
every week.
contractor who keeps going back in and fixing this stupid lab.
So, again, hopefully, like I said, Abracadabra kind of got a little of the wind taken out of him by that whole looming thing of, oh, he knows who Savitar is. Yep. I gotta, So hopefully next week it's really more about the fallout with Caitlyn's transformation and not just somehow Savitar getting ducktailed in here and stealing kind of her thunder too.
Was it also nice though to have a non-speedster? You got two.
Yes, that was also very refreshing. He was fighting a guy whose power set was totally different.
Yeah. And
before I forget to mention it, Abracadabra gets captured at the end, as you would expect, and as he's getting hauled off, he mentions Thawne, Zoom, and then I forget who he said, but he said somebody third, and it wasn't anybody Barry's faced before, and then he says Savitar.
Yep.
So I think they might have already been teasing the season 4 villain.
Okay.
And they've already confirmed that the season 4 villain will not be a speedster. So that's going to be fun. And it was fun to watch Barry fight. That was half the fun of season 1, is Barry fighting all those various metahumans that had different powers and abilities and all that stuff.
And what's also really quick, what's also nice to see on this is they're thinking the same way you are. They're like, okay, we did some various humans, then we bring in some speedsters, and just when it's starting to get to the point where you're getting a little speedster exhausted, you're like, okay, and then bang, they get out of the speedsters. Finally, okay, well now we're gonna go back to the various metahumans and have fun again.
Which is always nice to see. And if you count the evil speedster from the 2-part Flashpoint episode, they're really on 4th speedster at this point. But no, this was fun. It was a good episode. It definitely it recaptured some of the fun of Flash from season 1.
Cool.
And not so much the heavy melodrama that you really more expect from Arrow. And that brings us to Legends of Tomorrow, which has totally become my favorite show out of all 3 of them. I loved it. At the end of last week's Legends of Tomorrow, the Legion of Doom actually succeeded in getting the Spear of Destiny. And they actually did rewrite history the way they wanted it to.
Here we
so
go
the
again,
bad guys won.
Yep.
And so Thawne has now captured the Black Flash, and he's safe. Malcolm Merlin's son and wife are alive. He's got both his hands back. Damien Dark's, pretty much ruling Star City. He's got his magic again. And Snart and Heatwave are basically running Central City like it's, their own personal crime playground. The only problem is Heatwave is starting to kind of regret betraying the Legends. He really kind of, in a moment of weakness, wanted to save his friend Snart from, his fate at the end of season 1 where he sacrificed himself to save everybody. And ever since, he's been kind of doubting if Snart really even was as much of a friend of his as he thought he was. Yep. Snart's kind of ordering him around, basically making him his attack dog, as Mick puts it. And Mick decides, that's it, I made a mistake, I gotta fix it. So he goes around, and it's actually Mick this time who recruits all the Legends back together and finds a way to get them back to who they were. And we got one of the most fun fights ever in all 3 of the shows. One of the best fights I remember from all the DC shows was that first big brawl in Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, Episode 1, in the pilot, where it's the whole team just going bananas, fighting like 8 million bad guys at once. Yep. You got Heatwave and Captain Cold shooting the guns, firestorms around and blowing people up, and it's just like this. It's a madhouse, and it was awesome. And there hasn't really been that much of a frenzied brawl. The Invasion crossover kind of got back to that a little bit with everybody, but it was almost a little too frantic when you brought in everyone. But you had a big smackdown at the end of this episode with the Legion, the Legends, and Thawne and his goons were all in once.
I love it.
And so it was just this big, crazy bananas brawl kind of deal, and it was awesome. You had Thawne running around as a speedster. Everyone's blowing stuff up. It's great. And they offed somebody. One of the team, I won't tell you who.
Don't tell who.
But got offed. And,
oh, no.
And Thawne basically reestablished control and destroyed the spear. And now they're trying to figure out a way to fix this, and they realize they got to find Rip, because Rip, ever since the Legion rewrote time, has been missing. So they got to find Rip and get in the ship and go back to when the spear got stolen and not let the Legion get their hands on it.
Okay.
And aside from this was a big, crazy, battle-heavy episode, but there was a lot of real fun character. Heatwave got some real time to shine here, and he wasn't just the big, dumb muscle or making, bad jokes. you really got to see Mick Rory, the guy, and not Heatwave, and how much he's really changed since that first episode in season 1. And the season finale is this coming up on the 9th, I believe. Or no, the season finale, it's this week. And I'm really looking forward to it. There's a lot of big questions. Are they going to save the person who got killed? Is Snart going to get redeemed and maybe rejoin the team? Is even Rory even going to be on the team after that betrayal? Are they going to let him back on? So really, Legends has just been kicking the crap out of the other 2 shows, and the other 2 shows aren't even bad.
No, they're good shows. They're good shows.
It's just Legends has really upped its game in season 2 here, and I'm really looking forward to it.
That's awesome, though. Again, we talked about how good the TV's gotten and the shows, and here's Tom just loving all this stuff, and they continue to. It's like the creators are thinking like, what it is. I wonder if they're reading the social media. That's what I wonder. That's the thing. I think that's what they're doing. They're looking out. They're seeing what the fans want.
Yeah, it's so prevalent. Before, you had to really go on like internet forums and kind of look at what people are saying, and then you were like, oh, it's just a few nerds.
Yeah.
But now it's you have Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and you can gauge what millions of people think. And,
you get a really good idea, episode per episode, what the people want. And what's upsetting them and what they're looking forward to next. And
well, the hilarious thing is the creators of Westworld, which I still gotta watch because I hear it's fantastic. They actually had to change season 2 because people guessed the big plot twist.
Oh, I didn't know that was why.
Yeah,
okay.
They were seeing people on Twitter and Instagram had correctly guessed what the big reveal was going to be for season 2.
Okay.
So they went, crap, and they had to rewrite the show because of that.
I heard there was some to do about the end of the season, and then there was some big stink about it. And I haven't been following Westworld. I've heard good things about it. But
yeah, I gotta watch that.
Another show we gotta watch. Good Lord, more hours in a day. So, where are we next?
And the last bit of television news I have anyway before we get into movies is Attack on Titan Season 2 is going to be premiering on Toonami pretty soon. I watched the first probably 5 episodes of Attack on Titan. I haven't read any of the manga. And I don't know, I mean, I could see the appeal of it for some people, but I don't know, it never really did much for me. It was cool. It's an interesting premise.
Yep.
Giant, Titans appear and eat people, and they wander around the world. And
I'm with you on this. I don't know why. I remember I covered it a while back, and I started into the anime, and I was like, okay, and I think it was really gross, and I mean, some people love that, and for me, it was just like, ugh, it was really kind of disturbing, and it's these really icky giants coming in and just snacking on everybody, and I kind of like, I don't know, but it just didn't hold me.
Yeah.
But people love Attack on Titan.
It's everywhere, and I don't know.
It's okay. We're not slamming Attack on Titan. It's just neither one of us are really that big on it.
But I mean, that's for Attack on Titan fans. That's good news. The season they confirmed it's going to be 12 episodes.
Yeah.
And it should be on Toonami.
It should do well. It should do well because I see a lot of Attack on Titan.
Oh God, yeah! Everybody's got like the hoodies and the backpacks and all that stuff.
I might get another. I might take another stab at this. I really might because I've been seeing so much on it. And I'm kind of regretting that. It didn't hold me, and neither did Sword Art, and I'm gonna catch hell for that too because I went to Sword Art and I went about 3 or 4 episodes in, and I was like, this just isn't holding for me. But I did get all. I'm about I don't know how many episodes. I'm like season 3 or something of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is doing great. We're on like JoJo number 4, I think now through the family history. We're going down 3 or 4, and he's fighting Dio. In the tradition of JoJo's...
James Dio?
Yeah, no, but that's the deal. Is they use the writer uses classic rock and some heavy metal.
Oh, okay, cool.
Some heavy metal.
So it actually is based on James Dio.
Speedwagon actually, Robert E. Speedwagon actually has faced off against Dio at one point. I think they've seen each other.
Robert E.
I think it's Robert.
Speedwagon.
It's like R.E. something Speedwagon, and then Dio, and then. But here's what, Tom, you'll get a kick out of this. The latest season, there's things that are happening, and they're named after various Stephen King novels.
Awesome.
So people have a spirit within them, like they're possessed or they're controlled by a spirit, or they sometimes control the spirit. It's called The Stand. And then there's darn, I can't think of the other one. I've seen a couple references.
That's fun.
I apologize, I can't think of the second one or third one. It just skips my mind at the moment. But the anime's great. And it's going to be with us for a little bit because there's like 85 or 95 episodes, and I like it. It hasn't got the appeal at this point that Sword Art or, well,
Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan does. Attack on Titan is really, really big. So that's the big one. But I like it. I highly advise it, and it's on Hulu, and they're streaming them all. I'm frantically trying to get through it before Hulu decides to pull it and leave me with like episodes 8, 26, 45, 50, and 87, like they did last time to me. So that's JoJo's time, and I apologize. We're kind of tumbling all over here trying to get stuff out of the way for you, so cover all these different topics. And what else? You got TV?
That's it for TV. I got a bunch of movie stuff, actually. I have not gotten around to watching Power Rangers yet. It's a combination of not wanting to be disappointed and just being too busy.
Oh, no.
I'm off a couple days this week, so I'll have to get around to it and get to it. But I've actually heard surprisingly positive things about it, so here's hoping that it's not too awful.
I haven't heard much, but I want to interrupt you again because I wanted to run this by you. If you know, we had covered, Entertainment Weekly had said the reappearance of, can you help me with that?
Usagi
Yojimbo in the comic, the Teenage
He was a samurai rabbit.
Yeah, and this reminded me, when you said Power Rangers, I had a quick mention this because they kind of were together,
Yep.
Power Rangers.
Oh yeah, it was the 90s craze.
Teenage
Mutant Turtles, Power Rangers.
So I'm kind of jumping topics a little bit here, but it's 90s
yeah.
trivia. So I just wanted to see if you had heard anything about this.
No, I'm still catching up on the TMNT comic. I'm only on issue like 24 out of 60 something, but it's good.
I don't think he's out yet.
I don't think. But it's funny because they actually dropped a Usagi Yojimbo reference in not the newest movie, the first movie they did in 2014. Mm-hmm. The bad guys got the turtles captured, and he kind of chuckles to himself and goes, "Can you believe we almost used rabbits?" And I was like, I got a laugh out of me. I think I was like the only guy who got that joke.
The whole theater's quiet.
Yeah, look at me like I'm out of my mind.
Yep.
That's kind of fun, yeah.
So I just thought, because the websites covering this, the nerd sites they're really excited about it. There's a big deal. And
he was a big part of the early.
Apparently, he's been out for a while.
Yeah, he hasn't been around in a while.
Okay, I'm just curious about that. I wanted to throw that out to the readers too, in case anybody was looking at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and there's some info for you there. But you're back. You want to talk about Power Rangers at all, or?
That was all I got. I haven't seen it yet, so that's all I got for it. But I got a bunch of other movie stuff. The Ghost in the Shell movie, Scarlett Johansson's next big thing, which is based off the animated movie and the anime series, is bombing. $110 million budget.
Wow.
And I think it only recouped $19 million in its opening weekend. And that is bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, at the one hand, I never watched Ghost in the Shell, so I never had any attachment to it. I actually thought the movie looked interesting. I kind of wanted to go see it. But it's like, poor Scarlett Johansson. Every time she goes off and does like a solo thing, like Lucy, Lucy was just a terrible movie, first of all. Okay. But that one bombed. Ghost in the Shell doesn't look like it's doing so well. It looks like every time they try to give her some big solo thing, it just doesn't do well, and I can't understand why. It's like, she's not a bad actress. She's very good. It's cool. It had everything. It's like Blade Runner-esque looking, cyborgs, anime, boom, gun. How is this not appealing to people?
I don't know.
I don't get it.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to... Well, oh man, I'm going to go out... I'm not going to go heavily into this because I promised I would not do this, but it's becoming... It may be this reason, and it's becoming such a problem that actually was all over the media this morning in sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. Marvel, the president came out and reported that they're losing money on Marvel Comics. They're not losing money. They're down significantly.
Yeah, okay.
And the theory is that they decided to go heavily PC. They're going with all these different kinds of characters, and I'm not slamming. I'm just saying that this massive left turn, and with Scarlett Johansson, she's been quite vocal on the circuit with the current climate and stuff like that, and a lot of things going on. And I'm kind of wondering if this isn't catching up to people, where you've got the two sides starting to pull apart, and it might be affecting some of these movies and things. And I'm starting to see a lot of comments in the comment sections on some of these sites, and a lot of complaining about this stuff. And I don't want to go any farther than that. I'm not looking to drag this.
Well, with the Marvel thing, it's not so much, I think, that they introduced new characters or they changed characters. I think it's that they changed the big characters.
Yep.
They changed Captain America. They changed Hulk. They changed Iron Man. They changed Thor. And I actually think, funny thing is, for the most part, I actually like the changes. I think the Sam Wilson Captain America was great. I thought Jane Foster Thor, fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were talking about it before. You liked it.
I love the Jane Foster Thor. But I think it's just it comes at a point where you just introduce new characters.
Yeah.
X-Men and Inhumans do that all the time. They just bring in new characters. Different power sets. If you're going to change something, don't change the tent poles.
I think that in this case too, I don't think they're getting it, because they're saying, well, they're asking at the end of these articles, well, do you want to go back to white Caucasian males? I'm like, that's not the argument. It's not. People aren't. I'm not upset because I see a black character or a Latino character or anything like that. It's just this. It's, I don't know, you're kind of screwing with the big guns here. And you want your Thor, you want your
They
Superman.
change too much too fast.
Too fast. Yeah, you're rolling this thing in to try to keep up with the PC environment. It's just not going to work, and it's not working. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to get into a political battle over this.
Yeah.
It's just what I'm seeing.
The Hulk. The thing is, the Captain America change at least was built up over a long, well, not long, but a long-ish period of time related to comics. It was months in the making.
Yeah.
But Iron Man and Hulk just came out. They're like, nope, new characters.
And I was disappointed too with some of it, because they're like, well, do you want to see more male Caucasians? Like, wait a minute, whoa! I go, clearly there's an interest in female characters here, and because you've got Wonder Woman, which looks like it's gonna hit.
Oh, that's
huge.
gonna be awesome.
And we just had X-23, which, I mean, granted, she was
kid, awesome,
but she was incredible.
She was like one of my favorite parts of the whole movie.
Wants to see more X-23.
Yeah.
And then we had some great female characters in the Avengers and the X-Men, and there's a lot of good stuff out there. We got Batgirl on the horizon now. By the way, did we talk about that?
We're going to talk about that.
Sorry,
yeah,
I jumped the gun on that one. But they're kind of, with the movies, of course they have to, because they're a little slower. They're dipping their toe in the water a little bit more, and they're bringing it up bit by bit. We're going to have Gotham City Sirens. We had the Harley Quinn thing, and so it's not that people don't want to see females and they don't want to see non-whites. It's just that I don't think you can just take this bucket of whatever and throw it at everybody and then just say, well, it's because it's all white and male. That's not really the case, because as far as I remember, comics had a lot of hot chicks in them, and that's why nerds read comics, because the girls are like pow, boom, bam, and there's tons of them in there. And so it was never a white male-oriented thing, in my opinion, because I remember seeing these. We just went through the controversy a few months ago, like trying to scale down the women. They were bitching and griping about that because the women were too voluptuous, and somebody was upset about that, and so there was a big fight over that. Again, I'm not taking sides on that. I don't want to get into a big political battle here, but I just think it was an interesting view. I don't know what happened with Ghost in the Shell. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, I thought that one would do at least pretty well. I still kind of want to see it.
Thing with Ghost in the Shell, I could be way off the mark on that, or it's that I think if you go down the street and you ask people about Ghost in the Shell, only hardcore nerds know Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, Ghost in the Shell is definitely one of those. It's a niche anime.
That's
an older one.
Anime, yeah.
1995, I think, was the debut.
And there's the two key words: niche, anime.
Yeah.
And if you go to people, how many people know anime? Not a whole lot.
I
just got in.
I thought they were smart in their marketing, and they didn't market it as this big adaptation of an anime. They just marketed it as a movie,
it looked
which
like
was smart.
A Blade Runner-esque type thing, and it was everywhere too.
Yeah,
I mean, you saw
trailers for it everywhere,
all over the place.
So I'm kind of shocked here. I'd never watched, like I said, I haven't watched the original ones. Mm-hmm. I'm just getting started on stuff. I still have to watch Cowboy Bebop for all things.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a shocking one. But I mean, hopefully it doesn't completely bomb, and they at least make something back on it.
I don't know. It looks like it's nosedive.
Yeah, it's not great.
But you know what else? You know what else actually took a nosedive was what's the big Disney film this week?
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, but that one I figured that would have a big. I thought it would have a big opening weekend and then kind of slowly peter off.
I thought that would go for weeks, because it's like, everybody's going to bring the kids, and the kids are going to bring, they're over and over.
It's funny, we got back to this. Power Rangers has been out for a week and a change right now, I think. Okay. And it had $100 million budget, and it's at $97 million right now.
Wow.
So I'm glad, because even though I've anyone who's listened to this podcast knows I've been a fairly vocal critic of the movie, but I love the franchise as a whole. I don't want to see the franchise itself fail. And actually, from what I've heard, like I said, from most people, the movie is actually surprisingly good. So I've got to see it this week, and I'll have my opinion. But I definitely don't want to watch it tank and nosedive and kill the franchise or anything. But well, that was that. And what else we got here? Oh, Spider-Man. A couple Spider-Man related things here.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Homecoming is coming out fairly soon. and they've already announced that it will get a sequel, which I don't think was any surprise to anybody. But the thing that did come as kind of a surprise is that apparently after this sequel to Spider-Man Homecoming, the future of Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is kind of up in the air. When they announced the deal with Sony, I was surprised, and I kind of figured that Sony has to be getting something out of this, you know. So I find it strange that Sony would just say, sure, Spider-Man can be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe whenever you want. So it looks like that deal may have like a time limit on it, because after that 2019 Spider-Man sequel, they've said that not that he's done, that's it, he's out, but they haven't said they have any more solo movies planned for him after that sequel.
I wonder what happens.
So I'm wondering if they're going to have to renegotiate that deal with Sony, or if they're just going to, it's a matter of just extending it.
Let's see how the Venom movie does.
That was the next bit of news. Venom is getting... No, it's good.
I didn't mean to keep...
Venom is getting its solo movie. Now, this thing has been in development hell for like 2 decades.
Yep.
They've been wanting to do a Venom movie. And Venom got his on-screen debut in Spider-Man 3, which is the movie, much like X-Men 3, we just don't talk about because it was so bad.
Oh, did you think that too?
Oh, it was terrible.
I got it. You know terrible. What? Do you know, I actually just sat down and started watching that. I think it was on Netflix or one of them, and I got halfway through and I stopped.
It's terrible.
And it's terrible because it's so ridiculous.
They didn't let Sam Raimi make the movie he wanted to make.
Wow.
Sam Raimi wanted to do Sandman.
Yeah.
And Sandman is a fairly obscure Spider-Man villain. He's definitely not who you think of first when you think of Spider-Man villains. You think
that's funny. I thought of Sandman early on.
Really?
When I grew up, Sandman was all over the place in Spider-Man.
I go to Green Goblin, Kingpin, and Venom
90s.
Are my 3 Spider-Man villains.
70s,
and
70s was Sandman.
That's true. That's true. I'm a 90s kid, so definitely that's who I think of when I think of Spider-Man.
Was all over the 70s.
And actually, I think it was a fairly interesting thing, but then we just got into this wacky thing where it's like, okay, Sandman's a villain, then the suit gets on Peter, he starts acting like a giant jerk, and then, he gets rid of the suit, and then it's on Venom, and Venom's going to be in like 20 minutes, and Topher Grace as Venom, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Eddie Brock would eat Topher Grace for breakfast and then crap him out.
I got out with the whole Peter's, like, with one girl and then with the other girl.
And yeah, Gwen Stacy.
Like, oh my
they
God.
Brought in Gwen Stacy for this movie, and then she gets like 15 minutes of screen time. Gwen Stacy actually predates Mary Jane in Peter's romantic history.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was just a giant mess. And
were we the only ones who thought so?
Oh God, no! Everybody hates it.
I was kind of.
And it's an indictment on the studios who just feel like, no, we want Venom in this movie for some reason. And I'm like, can we just not have it? Oh, and Harry was evil in the movie. So there was like 3 bad guys in the movie.
Yeah.
And it was just a...
He bonked his head. He
he had amnesia for like 20 minutes. And
I don't know what it was. I was just like watching this movie thinking that, geez, now we're going in this direction.
In a dumpster.
Now we're going in that direction. Now we're over here. Now we're in a romance. Now we're back to Venom. Now we're back to Harry. I'm like, what's going on in this film? And I finally I turned it off halfway through. I was like, okay. And I rarely do that. I really shut a movie.
It was bad.
Okay, I feel better now. Thank you.
But so this movie, the Venom solo thing, they haven't released any no casting hints yet, no nothing. They have pretty much said that Spider-Man will not appear in it. It's going to be a Venom solo thing.
That's going to be interesting.
Now, they've done this before. Venom's had his own solo series, comic-wise, I mean.
Yeah.
Venom's had his own solo series where Spider-Man hasn't made appearances.
Okay.
And Venom Lethal Protector, I think, was the original one they did. Now, the villain, they also have not announced yet. The one I'm thinking of, the one that I think that makes most sense, is Carnage.
Carnage, yeah.
Carnage is the offspring of Venom.
Right.
And it bonds to serial killer Cletus Cassidy, because that's a great choice. And it makes him even crazier before, now he has superpowers and goes off on a rampage. And it's smart, because really, Venom is not a nice person. Eddie Brock as Venom, he had his stints where he would save people, and even then he was still, killing them, the bad guys. So really, one of the few people you can throw Venom up against and have Venom be the clear good guy is Carnage. Carnage has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Yeah. He is evil through and through, and that
comes from a serial killer. Yeah. Who killed his grandmother? He pushed his grandmother down the stairs and killed her.
Lit his house on. He's
completely nuts. And also, if this, I had covered this, and we'll have a little link to it. It's probably going to have to. Well, it's going to have to be rated R. If they're going to bring Carnage in, and they're going to have a lot of people...
Maybe.
Unless they do a very
very hard PG-13.
Yeah, very hard PG-13. Throwing your grandmother down the stairs on a PG-13 is going to be kind of tricky to do, but
Nah.
we'll see, see how they do this.
I've
heard R on this, by the way. I have heard R.
They could definitely get away with that.
But I heard somebody said Carnage. I've not heard anything Carnage official, but I have heard R official.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard R have been floating around the big sites, but I only heard Carnage from one other person on a group, but I didn't see anything to back it up. Now I could be wrong. If Carnage is Carnage, I don't see. I agree with you. I don't see how you're going to do this without Carnage. If you have Venom, you must have Carnage. If you have Carnage, you have a serial killer, and if you have a serial killer, the way it should be done, you're going to have rated R.
A lot of dead people. But they've also maintained that this is a Sony movie, by the way. They've maintained it has no connection to the Marvel Cinematic Universe whatsoever. So, I mean, like I said, this thing has been in development hell. Sony's been trying to get this off the ground for, like, the better part of 2 decades.
Sounds kind of odd the way they're putting this together, but okay.
And I just hope they don't screw it up, because Venom's awesome.
Yeah.
That brings us to, back to Batgirl that we talked about earlier.
Batgirl.
Looks like Batgirl is going to be getting her own DC Extended Universe movie, so it will interconnect with, Justice League, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all that stuff. Yep. Barbara Gordon was actually in the ultimate cut of Batman vs. Superman.
Okay.
And I forget. Jenna Malone, I think, played her. And she's only in like 2 or 3 scenes. Now, this is interesting because we know for sure Batman has had a Robin. We see in the suit that's in the Batcave with this Joker spray paint on it.
Right.
That, Jason Todd got killed. And it looks like since they're moving ahead with the Nightwing movie, Dick Grayson's in there too. Batgirl has not been referenced at all, other than the fact that Barbara Gordon was in the ultimate cut of Batman vs. Superman. So, and I don't think after Jason Todd's death, Bruce was going to be taking on any sidekicks, because Tim Drake hasn't been referenced at all, no mentions by Alfred or anything. So, I'm wondering, is it going to be like, this is her origin story, becoming Batgirl? Yeah. Is she Batgirl without really Bruce backing her on this?
I think she's going to fly solo in this movie. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they're going to have Batman in here. If they do for a minute.
Yeah, I could see them pulling like a Suicide Squad where he's in a few scenes at key points. I mean,
that's what I meant. They won't have it heavy on Batman because that would be wrong to do.
Yeah, because again, that would be stealing the movie from her. And I think it's a fun thing to do because we know Commissioner Gordon's going to be in Justice League, so this would be a nice way to get J.K. Simmons in another movie as Commissioner Gordon. And the big news is that Joss Whedon's hopping the fence. He's moving from Marvel to DC. Joss Whedon's going to be the one doing this. And I think that's a fantastic choice for the director because anybody who's watched Buffy knows that Whedon knows how to do women characters very well. And I think this is fun. And it's shocking in a way because he left Marvel after those 2 Avengers movies because he said he just couldn't handle that frickin' stress anymore. Wow. The studio breathing down his neck. Okay. And I think, with Avengers, you're dealing with like a smorgasbord of characters. You have to make sure Thor, Captain America, Black Widow, Hulk, Hawkeye, and Iron Man all get enough screen time to be memorable characters. So maybe he just wants to do a solo character comic movie where he's really just got to focus on Barbara and maybe her dad and then the villain, and that's it. So I think this is exciting news for comic fans everywhere.
Well, that's the way I saw it. I thought it was just going to be... when I saw the news, I thought, okay, we're going to have a movie about Batgirl. We might have a couple other characters
I can see a Batman cameo.
I can even see another,
they could tease Nightwing at the end or something like that.
Even, who knows? Even Wonder Woman popping in for a second, just for fun, something like that. But it's going to be Batgirl. It's going to be solid. Now, who's she going to fight?
That's an interesting one because I have not read Batgirl, the new stuff. Right. I'm just reading like 8 million series at once.
Oh, I just think.
But Batgirl has obviously being in Gotham, you share some of that rogues gallery with Batman, Poison Ivy, and yada yada. But I'm sure that over at least especially the New 52 and the DC Rebirth, and even some of her older stuff, that there's plenty of villains they can go back to and
although you're gonna have a lot of these are gonna drop at the same time. You're gonna have the Gotham City Sirens and Nightwing and Batgirl, and you'll be on Wonder Woman 2 by that point, I think. And
Man of Steel 2, which is in development.
So it's going to be interesting to see what the crossover is on who's going to fight who. And will they bring any of the Sirens over to deal with Batgirl? Or will they bring somebody else, maybe to work with Batgirl? Who knows? But I think the Batgirl movie stands.
Now, I would love to see, at some point, Cassandra Cain, Orphan, as she's known now in DC Rebirth, get in. She was Batgirl after Barbara Gordon. really interesting character, and she's really like that's an obscure-ish character.
Maybe they'll do it.
But I'd love to see her get brought in at some point too.
I wonder how much Joss Whedon has, how much say he has. I'm guessing he has a lot of say.
I'm guessing if they lured him over to DC to do this, he's got a fair amount of input on this.
And there is a huge amount of interest on this too. If social media is to be trusted, which I know there's bots and everything like that. The only thing I saw a lot of spikes on this.
The only thing I'm worried about here is that the DC movie universe is going to get a little too Batman family heavy. Because, think about it. We've got Batman solo movie coming out whenever that happens. Nightwing, Batgirl, Gotham City Sirens. Yeah. So that's four Batman-related movies. Yeah. And we have, obviously, Aquaman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Cyborg are all coming out too. But I think...
But also Batman's in Justice League.
Yeah.
So I think 5.
Well, I don't count that because that's a team-up movie.
All right, but still, you're going to see
Batman's going to be in it. So I just... DC... has a tendency to make things a little, even in their comics, a little Batman and Superman heavy-handed. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to see.
Well, that's where the moneymaker.
They're the big.
People
they're the big
love
ones,
Batman.
But I don't want to see. I like Superman more than Batman, but I don't want to see Superman popping up everywhere. Yeah. Stealing everybody's limelight. Let's expand out into that wide universe of open characters and have some fun with that.
Well, if they give it to the girls and the girls like Harley and I think they're going to like Wonder Woman. I'm betting on Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman's
going to be huge.
The action romance of the summer, if they do it right, and it's going to take off, and the ladies are going to love. They're going to bring a lot more women to DC who are going to be following Harley, Wonder Woman, Batgirl if they do these right, and they'll have a whole new genre of people, which is going to be really exciting. There's already a lot of girls in there that following these because you go to the conventions and you see all dressed up and everything, but to bring even more in, it'd be very exciting because then you get more choices. It's exciting. You can see more characters and then we'll go down, like we always say, deeper into the bench on DC and see who we get. More characters that we haven't heard from in a long time. What else have you got here? So
that's all I got from
I'm having so much fun with this.
I do have some video game stuff though. This has been a fairly newsworthy week. The big reveal of Destiny 2 finally came out.
Yeah.
And Destiny 2 is, I enjoyed the first one for a while. I kind of got off of it because it kind of boiled down to a very repetitive thing in the main game. And I didn't play any of the DLC. I've heard that once the DLC came out, the game got a lot more fun. So, I don't know, maybe I did. But I think what happened really was Bungie got rushed by Activision, and they put it out before they wanted to, and it was okay. Huh. But Destiny 2, it's looking fun. It looks like it picks up after the events of, I think the DLC was called Rise of Iron. And you're once more thrust back into the post-apocalyptic Earth as a guardian fighting to maintain the last city from the various evil alien forces. And I think, hopefully, Bungie has learned from that first outing of having really delayed DLC and not having enough in the initial main game to make the game really stand out at first.
Okay.
Because it's a game you want to sit down and play with your buddies and, and just veg out and get lost in the world of it. And Destiny did a pretty good job of that at first, but then it just became, okay, we fight our way to point A, defend it for like 5 minutes, and then fight our way to point B where there's a boss and we kill it. Okay. And that was pretty much every level. And so hopefully there's some mission variety. Like I said, I never played any of the DLC, so who knows. But I think, that game's going to sell like bananas.
Oh, it's hot.
Everybody's
going crazy for that trailer right now.
I was at the midnight release for Destiny 1, and that was like a madhouse. I was joking. I went
laughing about this because I used to stand in line for concert tickets over at night, and you stand in line for video games overnight.
I was joking around with my friends, and like everybody got their brass knucks and switchblades because we're gonna have to fight our way out of here. It looks like. And
that's so funny.
Yeah.
Midnight line for I'm gonna go to one of those with you. The midnight opening.
Oh man,
I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
What a lot of fun.
And the other one, two more. Insomniac's Spider-Man game that they're doing for PlayStation is going to release this year. I love Insomniac Studios. Ratchet and Clank is amazing. Sunset Overdrive they did on Xbox. It was fantastic. Insomniac just makes it's like you get slapped in the face by a tie-dye rainbow of insanity. So this was a little bit surprising to see them doing something a little more grounded in the sense of Spider-Man. but grounded, relative to
PS4
normal.
exclusive.
Yep,
right?
only going to be PlayStation. Insomniac usually has a pretty strong tie to Sony. That's why Sunset Overdrive on Xbox was such a surprise and a treat. But they've totally redesigned the costume. I think it looks fantastic. It's going to be open world, just like a lot of the other, really, the best Spider-Man games are all open world. And it looks really interesting. And Marvel has said that they're partnering with a lot of different video game studios to make new games. And because they said before Marvel, I think, would do these in-house like movie game kind of deals where they were just like, I don't want to say cash grab, but not a lot of real effort and innovation in terms of what you got. So I think this is Marvel's kind of attempt to really make not just money, but also the best game you can. And I think Insomniac Studios is a fantastic choice to do a Spider-Man game. And I'm surprised we're getting it this soon, considering they only, I think, announced it last year. But I'm really looking forward to it. And I think that Spider-Man is the most fun I've had in when I'm playing superhero video games, because you're just swinging around New York City beating people up, and then you're like, I'm going to go over to the Empire State Building and climb it and then jump off and see how close I can get to the ground and then web swing, and it's insanity, and it's great. And I think that
must be great on VR.
Oh, yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun.
What a head rush. And
then the last big reveal is Overwatch. They're teasing something for a reveal on April 12th.
Hey, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, apparently just got announced.
Okay.
There's a new Tracer skin, apparently, and they have, like, a big QR code you can scan, and it says, like, file ready on April 12th or something like that.
I didn't know about this.
Maybe I did. This is surprising.
Did I miss this?
Because
I did.
The newest character, Orisa, just came out, like, a week or two ago. And it was because who was the first? Yeah. The first character was Anna. And then we didn't hear any news about Sombra, any definitive news about Sombra for months.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You want to pace it. You don't want to have everything come out at once. So Orisa came out late March, and now they're doing something in April. It might not be a character. Maybe it's just a few new maps or something. I would actually prefer maps at this point and give Orisa kind of time to sink in and get grounded into the game.
Just happened. They had a huge stink on Orisa. It was a lot of, not stink, I mean, a big reveal.
Big brouhaha.
Big deal. Brouhaha.
Yeah, and it's just a fun character to play.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the Doomfist tease they've kind of been working on for a while, or at least allegedly, because Terry Crews was over at Blizzard doing something, and maybe he was voicing the new Doomfist. But I would actually, I think, prefer maps, and then let Orisa sink in, and then maybe like a month from now doing a character reveal. Okay. But who knows what they're doing? April 12th, we'll all find out.
April 12th. Big month. What else is going on in April? Which we got?
Oh, Alien Day.
Alien Day.
Alien
Day. And I
just
thought of that when
find a face hugger, and let it get one of your friends. Not you.
Go get an egg.
Yes.
An Easter egg. Oh,
Did you ever see the guy who made alien eggs using real eggs?
No.
Yeah. Like he like made it so they could like form alien eggs.
Yuck.
Oh, it was terrifying.
Oh God, I don't want to see
that. Is like one of my greatest nightmares. Is an alien face hugger just gets you.
So many great alien memes though. With the egg. And so anyway, there's a lot of stuff coming out for Alien Day. It really already, here we're 3 weeks away.
And I mean, after
a lot of big news,
like a week after Alien Day, I think Alien Covenant comes out, doesn't it? Or is it May 19th?
Drop all kinds of info on it. I think it's.
Is it May 19th or May 3rd?
I can't remember which date it is, but it's going to be right around the corner.
Right around the corner after Alien Day.
You do Alien Day and bang, you're at the movies again. So it's a big deal, and we're really excited. And of course, after Alien Day, we get May 4th, which is Star Wars Day, and what a big deal that's going to be. And also, although I didn't hear anything, they had a Star Wars
40th anniversary panel
celebration or something with Luke and
poor Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed for him because he's in the news again.
Yeah, I'm no fan of the prequels, but come on, guys.
Yeah,
it's not. It really.
It's
if
not
somebody
the end of the
said,
world.
Hey, you want to be Anakin Skywalker in the prequels? Would any of you have said no?
No,
it's not Hayden Christensen's fault.
It's he was given a
terrible script.
Terrible that romance wasn't his fault, and you see. I'm not gonna. I know we've beat up. Tom and I have done our share of beating up those prequels, but we're not picking out individual actors. We're saying that the problem was.
I think
it was a poor. It was at the management
Lucas
level.
didn't really know how to direct it that well.
Lucas admitted it later.
Yeah.
He said, "I didn't listen to the fans."
Lucas didn't really direct it well. The dialogue was awful.
Dialogue was atrocious.
Him and Natalie really didn't have that much of a chemistry.
No, storyline was a mess.
And it's just that makes for a trifecta of bad performance.
The biggest problem for me was the disjointed storyline, because we've been over this 100 times, but the latest news is the big rumor, and I thought it was an April Fool's rumor, so I didn't even bother covering it till today. And I no, it's got to be April 1st. But they're saying, Hayden Christensen's going to be Vader again. He's talking about a Vader down the road, and I was like,
a Vader solo movie is got to happen at some point.
He might do it, but I don't know why they'd have Hayden Christensen do it, because he's all. we had somebody walk in. Come on, it's okay. We had a guest walk in while we're doing our podcast here. So it's funny though, because a Hayden Christensen Vader would be like, what's he gonna do? His face is chewed off anyway. So.
Yeah, why put him in the movie? You could have anybody in the suit, like in Rogue One. Whoever that guy was in Rogue One, just in the tank, floating around.
I don't know. I just kind of wonder what that's all about. Unless because there's nothing you can do with him now. He's burned up, and that's.
Well, no, I mean you could have the obligatory scene in Empire or something like that where the helmet's off and he's putting it on or something like that, and you could have Hayden Christensen be there. But
I think it's just a rumor.
I would highly doubt it. Now,
I'm sad
the
to say,
other rumor for Hayden Christensen was that he might appear as like a Force ghost in Episode 8, either to Luke or to
maybe
Kylo Ren. And I actually wouldn't mind that. I think it might be a nice way to kind of redeem himself in the eyes of the fans. And it's been Episode 3 was 2005.
Yeah,
it's been 12 years. Let it go.
Although, if they're bringing him out with Mark Hamill, it may be because they're trying to soften the blow, and they're trying to see what the fans are going to do. But the fans are still angry nerds, and they're still mad about the prequels. So, we were mad about the prequels, too.
I still refuse to watch them.
But, the prequels just got to be cleaned up. If you have not watched all of the Clone Wars yet, you should know that they clean up the prequels pretty well. And then from what I'm hearing, Rebels cleans up even more, too, and there's a lot of cleanup on that. So it really ties everything up. And I think that's all we got. We'll just keep going on. I do have two more things. Good heavens. I went to the oh my gosh, I went out to a show the other night, the Mockstrocity Tour, starring Mac Sabbath with Metalachi and Oakley Dokley. It was awesome. It was one of the local theaters here, or the small place, and it was a 3-act show, and Oakley Dokley opened up. Oakley Dokley is a Oakley Dokley is a subgenre of metal music themed around the animated character Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. And everybody, if you think of this, Ned Flanders, 5 of them on the stage,
neighbor,
thrashing on thrash metal. It's hysterical. And I got pictures of this thing too, of these guys, and it's just a blast. And they came out, they were a lot of fun, and they did thrash and heavy stuff and they all wearing the Ned Flanders glasses and the outfit
sweater.
And everything. It's hysterical. They all look horrifyingly like Ned Flanders. Even the singer is like, whoa, like Flanders. And they crack silly jokes, and it's just a lot of fun. And then Metalachi came on, and Metalachi was great. Metalachi is I don't know where to go. Metalachi does covers.
Metal mariachi band.
And it's a blast. And they have a fiddler, and she's really good. And there were, I think, 6 of them, and like a singer who kind of hung back and did a thing, and then there was a singer up front, and 2 guitar, a bass, drum. It's just a blast, a lot of fun. They did covers of all your favorite metal tunes over the last 30 years. Everything from the best one's Slayer for me, because I love Slayer, and they did they did some Slayer to mariachi, and the crowd loved it. People thought it was a blast. And then of course we had Mac Sabbath, who I covered before. Mac Sabbath is fast food horror. And we got pictures here. It's just hysterical. You've got Ronald Osborne and the cat burglar who looks like Peter Criss in the Hamburglar costume playing drums. You've got Slayer McCheese. You've got Grim Alice. And it's just hysterical. And they do all Sabbath. And it's just really good. I'll tell you, the thing about this show is if you like Sabbath and you go to this show, the Mac Sabbath really has their Sabbath. All the musicians are great from all 3 bands, but the Sabbath coming out of Max Sabbath is really, really good. These guys know their Sabbath. And I mean, the singer's got even the Ozzy moves down, like jumping up and down on stage and the stuff he does. And it's just a lot of fun. So it's a great show. I can't rave about it enough. I highly advise, if the tours continue, I don't know where we are on tour right now. It's called the Mockstrocity Tour. But if it comes into your town, look it up and see if it's coming your way. Go see it. It's not terribly expensive. It's 3 great bands. Good time. And give these guys a little bit of love. They're really, really busted. And there's a whole bunch of bands like this right now. I think like Humor Rock is coming out again, but it's not stupid. It's actually really cool. It's the music is good and they're a lot of fun. And I actually met individuals from all 3 bands, and they were really nice people. It was just a blast to talk to. They came down. Everybody came into the audience and talked a little bit after the show. It was really a lot of fun. So I can't rave enough about it. Really loved it. I would definitely go see all these guys again. And the very last thing I'm going to talk about was I caught it. I don't even know if it's streaming anymore on maybe Netflix or Hulu. I don't know. Hulu, I think. 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh yeah, it's on there.
And I guess it's still on there. And of course they call it Cloverfield Part 2, more or less. And
well, he said it was weird because J.J. Abrams said it was a blood relative of Cloverfield, but not like necessarily a direct sequel.
Yeah, I don't want to give. Should I tell what happens in this thing or not? I guess I'll give away a little bit. It's more of a. It takes place in pretty much an underground bunker, which is, I'm not giving too much away because you're going to see that in the
trailer.
There's something happens, and the majority of the movie is this girl wakes up in a bunker after having an accident, and the guy holding her is John Goodman, who plays a really convincing cuckoo. He's nuts, and you're like wondering, is there really something that happened out there, or is she being held in this bunker and getting a Stockholm syndrome thing going on? And there's another guy involved too. He's also in the bunker, a younger guy who came in, who helped Goodman build the bunker in the first place. And she says to him, "How'd you get her?" And he goes, I rushed in at the last minute, and he let me in. So now there's 3 of us here, and it's the 2 of them trying to deal with Goodman's mood swings, and they get along. It's really bizarre. And at one point, she actually looks out the window and sees some heavy duty stuff, and they don't know what happened for the majority of the movie. Something attacked, or they're told something attacked. And then she begins to find clues that maybe something else is going on here besides if there was an attack, or if there wasn't an attack, there's something worse and I don't want to give too much away, but it winds up pretty good in the end. I liked it. I thought it was pretty disturbing, the movie. I've heard mixed pardon me. I've heard mixed reviews on it. I liked it, and I thought that it was a really interesting, almost like a psychological look at Stockholm syndrome in this thing. You know, like what was going on with this girl and the guy with her. And it also is like, if you want to see Goodman play a real kook, this is, boy, does he do a convincing job. I mean, he's nuts. And I advise it. It's streaming on Hulu. Go check it out, and you'll have 2 Clover. Is there a 3rd one coming? I heard about
something about that God particle. I think it's called, or something
God
like that.
particle. That's what it was. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. They're like, oh, it's going to be God particle. Everybody's like raving and ranting about it. Like, okay, what is it? I don't know. So, typical of the big sites. They're all like, they gush about everything. It doesn't matter. You can say, we're going to put this movie. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. We can't wait. You have to see this. Okay, what's it about? Well, we don't know yet, but it's going to be great. So, okay. But anyway, 10 Cloverfield. Check it out. Max Sabbath and the Mockstrocity Tour, and Oakley Dokley and Metalachi. Check them out. Great bands. And I think that's it. If you are ever shopping at Amazon, do check our site out. And if you have an ad blocker, just, if you don't mind, take it off for a moment. We've got Amazon ads up here. If you click on our Amazon ad before you go shopping at Amazon, it does support us a little bit. And it doesn't cost you an extra penny. All you got to do is click on our ad. You go through, you buy whatever you want. We get like a penny or something. But it tells Amazon that we're legit and that they'll stick with us. And that's cool. And we can be an Amazon affiliate. And it helps us pay the bills. The poor intern.
Feed the dragon.
Who's locked in the underground bunker.
We don't talk about Opie.
And we're also on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Minds.com. We've got our own whole YouTube channel now, obviously, and the website. And iTunes. What am I missing? Twitter too. So follow us, please. We can use it. We can use likes. We can use support. That's free. No, we're not going to send you anything. We're not going to attack you. If I ever send anything out, it might be once or twice a year. I've never sent anything out to this day, by the way, but I might down the road about a year from now. So, don't be afraid. I'm not going to bomb you with all kinds of like promotions and stupid ads and stuff like that, but we really can use the support. And that's it. We will see you. I think we're coming up on Alien Day. I think Tom's going to review Power Rangers next week, and we'll see what happens. He's been promising,
crossed.
but he can't get himself to go.
Yeah, it's a little bit a little bit busy.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, meanwhile, keep the geek, and
Go to
have
Greece,
a
everybody.
great week. Go to Greece. Bye.